Hello, this is Lisa and Imagination Sisterhood Studio. We are coming down to the end of making a journal completely out of a masterboard that was, all the papers were gifted by TLC Creates Vintage. And on her Facebook page, she gifted these as a March challenge to make a masterboard. And then I loved it so much, I decided to take the masterboard and make it into a journal. And so this 2 or 3 video series is all about how to take the papers that Paulette so kindly gifted and turn it into a gorgeous journal. We've gone through how to make the journal, the pages, all the stuff. At this point, I'm doing just a little bit of finishing touches and pockets and that kind of stuff. The first thing I wanted to go back and say, if you haven't seen all the other journals, is this is basically what Paulette gave us. So we had this beautiful piece of flowers and butterflies. We had the this big sheet. It was a full page of the seed things. We had these 3 papers, and we had this page. So in the first video, what I explained is whenever I get, especially any papers that I get, but especially if they are freebie papers, I like to do the most I can with them. And so I take them and I make all different sizes of the same thing. For example, I took this page. All right, so let me back up a little bit. What I do is I take the original document that wherever I get it, whether I buy it off Etsy or whether it happens to be a free page or whatever, and I download it, and then I take each page and put it into, I have an Apple, so a Pages document or a PC doc. I take each page and put it right into the page of a document, and now I can manipulate it, so I can make it smaller and I can make it bigger. And that is what allowed me to take these papers and make so many things out of them. And I didn't print off one of the pages. One of the pages I loved with this was just this little bitty print, and she only gave us a little tiny piece of it, and so I just took 2 of them and glued them together, and now I got a longer strip so I can do decorative bands, or I can do things with it. This particular page, I took and cut off within the Word document, I cut off the borders, and I just made these 2 pages bigger. I just stretched them up so that's what allowed me to have. That's this same page. So you can see the difference in size. So I just put it in the document and I made it a little bit bigger, and that allowed me to use it in a bigger capacity. But you can also make it smaller. One of the things that we're going to do today is taking Paulette's her seed packet, which I love this design. I think it's gorgeous, but it's a full-size piece of paper. So I'm not sure what I would do with. I can imagine making a journal cover out of this, and it would be really clever and cute. But for the most part, to me, this is too big for me to use. So instead, again, took the original document, moved it into my document creator in my computer, and made it much smaller. And so today, I'm going to show you how to turn this, which this is a 2-second project. This is going to become an envelope. All right, so that's all I did. So the first thing you need to do when you transfer it into your whatever document you're putting it into, is to allow yourself space at the top and at the bottom, because that is going to create the flap for the envelope to be able to close on all sides. So you need a space on the top and you need a space on the bottom, and this you just need to decide how big you want it. I didn't want it very big, so I made it kind of small. I'm going to run through this once, allowing that you have made these shapes, and you don't have to create these shapes. I just made a shape behind it so you could see, but you will need to cut 1 inch to the top and bottom and a 1/2 inch wider on one side. So let me just demonstrate, because I think sometimes it's easier to actually I'm a very visual person. All right. This is going to create the one side of our envelope. So I'm just going to cut that side straight off. And I'm going to cut the top straight off. And I'm going to stop. Paulette naturally left a white line. We are going to stop the cutting at the white line. So I'm only going to cut that far. And I'm going to do the same to the bottom. I'm going to cut up to the center and then trim along here. It's hard to see, but this is actually beige. It's beige and white. When you print off yours, you'll see the beige and the white. So I'm trimming along the beige to that white break in the middle. And let me cut this down. All right, so I suggested leaving a 1 inch at the top. So we're just going to leave that the way it is right now. And now we're going to cut down. Again, this is to the beige. I'm going to cut here to the beige. Here to the beige. Where they intersect. And up from the bottom to the beige. So if you did not want to be bothered putting in the beige shapes like I did, which that's fine, you don't have to do that. I just did it so I didn't have to ink it all. This is what your paper is going to look like. So you're going to have a white on the top, you're going to have a white on the bottom, and these are both about 1 inch. And then you're going to have at least a ½ inch on this side. And I can already see that they're not cut straight, but we'll work it out later. All right, the next thing, how do we create our envelope? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fold it where the white is. This makes an adorable seed packet, which I'm sure she had in mind when she created it. All right, now we're left with all of our flangey pieces. These pieces are flanges. So this one, this is the top, this is the bottom. Top. The side piece, I'm going to cut off to a ½ inch. All right. And the bottom, I'm also going to trim down. I don't want it quite that. Looks like I cut that really crooked. And the top I want long because I want it to be a flap. All right. From here, you're going to notch these just a little bit, and you can even like cut straight across, just like that. And we're going to notch this down. And we're going to notch this one. There's not a science to this. Just cut it on an angle. And then the top, I actually want to have a bit of a curve, which is why I did that shape on the computer. But I'm going to cut this. I just want this to have a bit of a curve. All right. And that's it. That is actually, our envelope is formed. We are just going to fold over the sides to align with where the front placket piece is. So I just folded that around this and this, and then I'm going to fold it under. And that way I know it's the right size and shape. And there we go. We've got our little pocket, and we're going to fold the top down. And I might not even, I would leave that open because I want to see the words. I just love the words. I think it's so pretty. And there you go. So you can ink all around the outside. And you've got this, and glue it down. Let's go ahead and glue it in place. And of course I would ink it all around, but we're going to put a little glue. I use art glitter glue, and I use art glitter glue because it gives me this little teeny tiny thread of glue, and I just love that. I don't want glue oozing out all over the place, so I do a little tiny glue. Put the pin back on so it doesn't dry up. And let's fold this over. And then we can ink it, and we're all done. We've got this adorable little pocket. Now, if all that measuring and everything is too much for you, you can't figure out the top, the bottom, the whatever, and you don't want to mess with it, fine. You have another option. Again, I'm going to use my paper cutter this time. the piece on the right, on this one, we're going to cut all the way to the beige edge. Okay, so just go ahead and line your cutter, your scissors, whatever, line that up to that beige edge and give it a zip. The bottom, you are going to leave again a ½ inch. So we're going to cut a ½ inch on the bottom. And I'm going to trim off the top because we don't need the top there. And it's got a big white piece on the top, and we're not going to need a flap this time. All right. Once again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut up. Right here is where Paulette has left a white line. So we're going to, and this is where my beige, this pocket. Now you can see where the beige pocket is. So I'm going to cut along here, just this one side, just the one on the right. Cut all the way over to the white and cut it off. And I'm going to cut this side off to a ½ inch. And again, I'm going to see where this little pocket, and boy, I really am bad at cutting that straight eyeball in it. Usually pretty good at that. Today I'm really off. All right. That's the end of the seed packet right there, the line. I am going to cut again. I'm going to cut at an angle. And I'm going to snip this up at an angle. And I'm going to snip this at an angle. So if you can see, the beige is here. I've just cut the angle to the beige, and I've cut the angle to the beige. There's the bottom. And just like we did on the other one, we're just going to fold it over. And fold up the bottom. And fold on the white line that Paulette so kindly left us. And now you have an adorable pocket that you can glue it together. This is not hard, as you can see. The only hard part is taking it off of the original document that Paulette gave you, or anybody gives you, and put it into your program on the computer, and just take the whole, it's a PDF, so you take the whole thing and you take the corner and you make it smaller or you make it bigger. From here, I think with both of these, I would be inclined to take some of these beautiful extra prints. These are gigantic. So again, I did the same thing. I printed them in several different sizes. This particular one I have in 3 sizes. So I probably would I would fussy cut something and decorate these. You can use all the ephemera that Paulette has already given you and just decorate them so that they're pretty. But this, and you might even want to put a little, I don't want to do too much up here because of the pretty design of the pocket, but you might want to take a circle punch, and then since mine is purple, I'm just going to go ahead and ink it, and that way you can see. And now it makes a, you know, it's a cute little pocket, and it's got I've got a hole, so it's easy to put things in and out. Okay, so that is the envelope that comes with the kit that you can make into an envelope or not. But the last thing that I wanted to show you that we'll do today is, so I've taken the papers in the varying sizes Some of them are the size they came in. Some of them are bigger. Some of them are small. This is the gigantic seed thing. I've taken them and ripped them. Again, I've made several copies so I can use the papers over and over and over again. And I have this adorable clip that I made from the papers that came in this kit. I do have a video out right now. It's about a 15-minute video on how to make this fast and easy clip. So I just made the clip that fits on the book. And then I'm going to take these papers that I already cut. Oh, that one is still too big. Boy, this seed packet thing is just really large. So we'll fold it in again. There we go. And we'll stick it under here. What I love about these clips is they are really strong, so they hold a lot of stuff. And so that's an adorable, and look at that on the back. It looks so cute. I love it, love it, love it. We could put it the other way if we wanted to. Let's see what it looks like the other way. Oh, no, I think I like it. Yes, I like the other way better. All right, so that's the clip. Like I say, check out my other video on Fast and Easy Clip. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting. This is Lisa and Imagination Sisterhood Studio.